There is a constant stream of thoughts flowing through your awareness right now. It's a phenomenon you have never truly questioned. You have spent your entire life assuming these thoughts are you, that they originate from your core identity and that they define who you are. This assumption is the source of nearly all anxiety and limitation you experience, but what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally alter your relationship with reality itself. And once you see this core truth, you can never unsee it. The recognition changes everything. Take a moment right now and simply observe your thinking. Don't try to stop or control it, just watch. Notice how thoughts materialize in your awareness without any conscious command from you. Observe the incessant low-level hum of mental chatter. You didn't decide to think the thought you just had. It simply arose, fully formed within the space of your consciousness, a voice speaking where you hadn't invited it. And here is the question that breaks the entire illusion. If you didn't consciously generate that thought, where did it truly come from? If the source isn't your conscious I, then what is the actual origin? Most people never ask this. They feel a thought and immediately identify, I am thinking this, therefore this thought is me, and I must act on it. This immediate identification is the trap. But neuroscientists have proven what mystics have known for millennia. By the time you become consciously aware of a thought, your brain has already been processing it for hundreds of milliseconds. You are not the generator of thought, you are the receiver. You are only observing the content after unconscious processes have already constructed it, like listening to a news report about events that already happened. This is not speculation, it is verifiable science. Experiments confirm that the initial brain activity, the readiness potential, for a decision occurs before you are consciously aware of choosing it. What you experience as your free choice is often a post-event justification, a conscious narrative constructed to make sense of activity that happened outside of your awareness. The conscious mind is frequently the last to know. Let that fact sink in. The internal voice you call I is not producing original content. It is simply narrating a story fed to it by deep, ancient, unconscious programming, cultural conditioning, and neurological habits. And this, precisely, is where your experience of reality becomes revolutionary. When you believe thoughts are yours, you give them immense, unwarranted power. Every passing thought carries the crushing weight of your identity. This belief system demands that you constantly defend or validate every piece of mental content. If a thought of fear arises, you instantly become afraid. If a limiting belief surfaces, I am incapable, I will fail, you accept it as the absolute definition of your capability, and your actions immediately contract to match that definition. But the instant you recognize thoughts are not yours, that they are simply transient phenomena like clouds passing through the sky of your mind or waves rising and falling in the ocean of consciousness, everything shifts. You stop being a slave to your thinking and begin to observe it with a spacious detachment. And reality, which has always mirrored your state of inner identification, begins responding to something deeper, something far more powerful that exists beneath the mental noise, your stable awareness. I want you to experience this truth directly. This is not theory. It is pure personal verification. For the next 60 seconds, I want you to try not to think at all. Seriously, stop reading and attempt to achieve zero thoughts, just pure silent awareness. What happened? If you are honest, thoughts kept appearing despite your absolute best intention. They were uninvited, often unwanted, and completely outside your command. You may have consciously commanded silence, but the machine kept running, proving that the operator is separate from the machine. This simple experiment proves one profound thing. If you cannot control the appearance of thought, then you are not the source of thought. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. You are the spacious, silent witness. This distinction is subtle, yet it is the critical difference between being mentally trapped in endless loops of anxiety and being fundamentally free in the present moment. The practical application most people miss. Once you recognize you are not the thinker, you can stop fighting your thoughts. Right now, you exhaust yourself by constantly arguing with, resisting, or feeling guilty about your mental content. You treat every thought as a definitive statement about reality that you must either embrace, reject, or suppress. This internal civil war is unsustainable. But what if thoughts are simply a broken radio playing in the background? You wouldn't argue with the radio, you would simply notice the static. Sometimes it broadcasts fear and lack, sometimes hope and energy. The radio itself does not define you. You are the awareness that hears the radio. And just as you wouldn't identify with static or misinformation, you can let thoughts pass without identifying with their content. This non-identification allows the frequency of your being to stabilize. For the next 7 days, try this for 5 minutes every morning. Sit comfortably and observe the mental stream. Every time a thought appears, mentally label it without judging the content. Worry thought, memory thought, planning thought, judgment thought. Use a simple, neutral descriptor, then just label it and let it pass. Do not engage the content or follow the stream. By day 3, you will notice a gap, the space, the pause, the silence between you and your thoughts. You are the spacious awareness observing the thoughts. Once this awareness stabilizes, reality responds differently because you are no longer sending out the chaotic frequency of emotional identification, but the stable frequency of the observer. To gain full control, we must understand the precise origin of persistent thought loops, especially the painful ones that repeat daily. Your brain functions as a prediction machine, constantly trying to anticipate the future based only on the past. This is its evolutionary job, survival. Every experience, every trauma, every protective mechanism you've ever had is encoded into neural patterns that automatically fire when a similar situation arises. These patterns generate thoughts that seem current and rational, but are actually just replaying old interpretations, old fears, and outdated beliefs as a form of automatic self-defense. This is precisely why the same thoughts keep cycling, especially under stress. They are not fresh responses, they are automated looping patterns like a damaged record stuck on repeat. And you have mistakenly identified these loops as your original, authentic reaction to life, compounding their power. Take the detailed example of preparing for a high-stakes meeting or difficult conversation. Before the conversation even starts, thoughts surface. I'm going to stutter. This will be uncomfortable. They will reject my proposal. I'm not ready. Your brain is accessing past instances of failure, extraction patterns of humiliation or stress, and generating predictions based only on those old emotional traumas. The thoughts are not about the present moment. They are replaying the past and projecting it forward. By identifying with these fearful thoughts, your nervous system triggers the fight or flight response before you enter the room. You enter the conversation already vibrating with the frequency of past failure. This subtle internal broadcast influences your body language, your voice tone, and the energy you emit, effectively causing the negative outcome you feared. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here is how to disrupt this self-sabotaging pattern. For the next 14 days, whenever an emotionally charged, repetitive thought arises, stop, breathe, and ask, when is the first time I remember thinking this exact thought or feeling this exact way? Do not force an answer. Allow your memory to organically retrieve the answer. You will often trace the thought back to a specific experience from childhood or adolescence that installed a core belief or protective mechanism. a moment of public shame, a parent's harsh critique, or an early heartbreak. The thought you are having now is not about your current situation. It is that old experience echoing through new circumstances. Once you identify the source, the thought loses its power. It is an echo from the past, and echoes have no power except the authority you grant them by believing they are current reality. When you recognize an old thought as outdated programming, e.g., this feeling that I'm not good enough originates from being compared to my sibling at age 8. It has nothing to do with my current capabilities. You instantly dissolve its grip. Outdated programming can always be updated by simply shifting your identity away from it. We must connect this non-identification to the external world. Understanding this energetic mechanism is where transformation truly begins. Your thoughts, regardless of their source, generate a measurable electromagnetic frequency that broadcasts from your nervous system and your heart. The HeartMath Institute confirms that the field generated by your heart extends 8 to 10 feet from your body, carrying complex information about your internal emotional state. This field is constantly being read, not just by other people's unconscious minds, but by the very underlying energetic field of reality itself. When you identify with your thoughts, when you attach your sense of self to them, your field broadcasts that thought's frequency. Anxious thoughts you believe create a chaotic, anxious broadcast. Limiting thoughts you believe create a powerful broadcast of lack and limitation. And reality, which is a responsive field you are embedded in, must organize itself to perfectly match the frequency you are broadcasting. This explains why visualization and affirmations often fail. People try to broadcast a positive conscious intention, while their unconscious identification with deep, repetitive thought patterns is broadcasting a contradictory, far stronger signal of lack or desperation. They are trying to manifest abundance while broadcasting anxiety. But when you stop identifying with thought, your electromagnetic broadcast is no longer dominated by mental chaos. It emanates from pure awareness, the deep, stable spaciousness that exists before any thought begins. This frequency is inherently coherent, stable, and exponentially more powerful than any thought-based signal. Thoughts create a chaotic, constantly fluctuating frequency, changing moment to moment based on the mental noise. But awareness, the space in which thoughts appear, has a single, consistent, coherent frequency. It's the difference between trying to transmit a clear signal while simultaneously generating static and interference, versus broadcasting from a stable, crystal-clear center that remains untouched by the content playing on the channel. This practice trains your identity to shift its broadcast from chaos to coherence. Practice this twice daily for 10 minutes. Sit quietly, and when thoughts arise, shift your attention from the thought itself to the silent awareness that is observing it. Do not follow the thought. Do not judge the thought. Simply shift your inner focus. Ask yourself, what is this awareness that's noticing my thoughts? Where is its center? What is its quality? You will realize awareness has no location. It is a spacious presence where thoughts and sensations appear. Rest in this recognition. You are training your nervous system to identify with the stability of awareness rather than the drama of mental content. Crucially, try to maintain that awareness momentum as you move through your day. This is the integration. When talking, notice you are aware of the conversation. When performing a task, notice you are aware of the task. When thoughts arise, simply notice that you are aware of them. The more you recognize yourself as awareness, the more your field broadcasts coherence, and reality responds with opportunities and synchronicities impossible under the old chaotic thought patterns. This concept is the ultimate paradigm shift. Not only are thoughts not personally generated, but a majority aren't generated by your brain at all. You are constantly tapping into and processing energy from a collective thought field. Have you noticed how entire populations can suddenly become obsessed with the same trend, share the same anxiety, or fixate on the same danger? This is not coincidence. It is evidence of collective fields that individual consciousnesses mistakenly adopt as personal, urgent thinking. The frequency of the collective environment dictates the thoughts that surface in your private mind. Consciousness is not isolated in individual brains. It is more like receivers tuning into a broad, global field containing shared thought patterns, cultural narratives, and emotional frequencies. Your brain acts as a transceiver, a receiver and transmitter for this field. To verify this, pay attention to your thoughts over the next few days. How many are about politics, news, global conflicts, or opinions about distant people you have never met? Concerns absorbed from media, cultural narratives, or inherited anxieties. These thoughts did not originate from your direct lived experience. They entered your awareness from the collective field and you adopted them, treating them as urgently personal. This truth is simultaneously disturbing, less control than you thought, and incredibly liberating. You can choose what to tune into. If you can switch off the radio, you can switch off the collective noise. For the next 21 days, take 10 minutes every evening to review your day's mental content and categorize your thoughts. Type 1. Direct experience. Type 2. Personal history. And Type 3. Collective field. You will discover that Type 3 collective field thoughts often comprise the majority of your daily thinking. You are spending the bulk of your mental energy processing noise that has nothing to do with your immediate, authentic life. Once you see this clearly, you can make a revolutionary choice. Stop engaging with Type 3 thoughts entirely. When a collective thought arises, simply let it pass without investing attention in its content. Do not suppress it, simply disinvest your focus. This simple practice can dramatically reduce your mental noise, clarify your inner world, and dramatically improve your energy levels. You stop amplifying collective fears and begin broadcasting solely from your direct experience and pure awareness. This is the most practical segment. How reality starts responding differently when you stop identifying with thought. Reality is not a passive backdrop. It is a profoundly responsive field. When you identify with limiting thoughts, you view reality through that filter, creating a self-reinforcing loop. And if you firmly believe all good jobs are scarce, reality organizes itself to match that observation. You will overlook opportunities, struggle in interviews, and interpret rejection as confirmation. But when the thought all good jobs are scarce arises and you recognize it as just a thought, not ultimate truth, you are no longer viewing reality through that destructive filter. The thought is present, but you are not broadcasting it as your operating frequency. From this state of non-identification, you observe reality directly, without mental distortion. And you discover that reality is far more fluid, responsive, and filled with possibility than your old thoughts ever permitted. Consider the detailed example of the belief money is hard to make. This thought creates an observation filter, causing you to notice only the struggle, the effort, the high taxes, and the missed opportunities. Reality matches this observation precisely. Now you stop identifying with the thought. The thought arises, but you recognize it as an inherited pattern, possibly from parents who struggled, not a truth about your current capability. From this non-identified position, you are no longer locked into that scarcity filter. You become available to notice different aspects of reality. Opportunities filtered out by the old belief become visible. Subtle financial synchronicities register. Actions that feel aligned become obvious where before you only saw required struggle. This is not simple positive thinking. You are not replacing a bad thought with a good one. You are dissolving identification with all of them and observing reality from unfiltered awareness. which has no predetermined filter about how money must operate. This 30-day practice offers measurable, quantifiable evidence of the reality shift. In week 1, baseline documentation every evening. Document 3 recurring limiting thoughts and 3 related external events that occurred that day. In week 2, pattern recognition. Review week 1 and observe the undeniable correlation. Reality organized itself perfectly around your thought patterns. You are creating your own evidence. In week 3, non-identification practice. When those recurring thoughts arise, you practice the active internal response. That's a thought. I notice it. I don't need to believe or disbelieve it. It is just passing through. You are stopping the identification process. Continue documenting your daily events. In week 4, reality shift documentation. If you have genuinely practiced non-identification, you will observe starkly different outcomes. The areas of old limitation will show different results, not because you forced them, but because you stopped filtering reality. Document specific shifts. This journal provides undeniable, concrete proof that reality responds to your relationship with your thoughts. If thoughts aren't you and thoughts have been the source of your core identity, the profound question of who you are becomes the most practical inquiry. Your identity is your broadcast frequency, which determines your entire experience. Most people construct their identity entirely from thoughts. I am someone who struggles with anxiety. I am bad with money, or I am unlucky in love. These are limiting thought-based identity structures. When you stop identifying with thoughts, these habitual structures begin to dissolve, which can initially feel destabilizing, like losing the ground beneath your feet. But what emerges in this space is something far more authentic, fluid, and powerful. The awareness itself. Your true identity is the consciousness that can observe any thought, any emotion, any sensation without ever being defined by it. This is your core, unchanging nature. A thought-based identity is characterized by seeking. It is always comparing, always trying to maintain or improve itself through external validation. It desperately needs reality to confirm its worth. This creates a frantic, needy frequency that unconsciously repels the very success and love it seeks. An awareness-based identity, however, is characterized by sufficiency. It needs nothing from reality because it is inherently complete. It is not trying to become anything because it recognizes itself as the unchanging space in which all becoming occurs. This creates a powerful frequency of wholeness, stability, and inherent okayness that effortlessly magnetizes aligned experiences because it is no longer broadcasting lack or desperation. This protocol accelerates the shift of your identity from a fragile mental structure to stable awareness. Phase 1. Identity Inventory, days 1 to 7. Make an exhaustive list of every habitual I am statement you think or say about yourself. Phase 2. Source Investigation, days 8 to 14. Take each statement and challenge it with awareness. Is this what I am? Or is this simply a thought about what I am? Rewrite each statement from identity to observation. Phase 3. Awareness Recognition, days 15 to 21. Sit quietly for 15 minutes daily and ask, what am I if I'm not my thoughts, my history, or my feelings? Rest in the recognition of the pure awareness. Phase 4. Identity Embodiment, days 22 to 30. Practice moving through your day from awareness identity. When making decisions, stop using the old pattern. Instead, ask, what action feels aligned and effortless from this spacious whole place? This practice stops you from being limited by thought structures, making you more authentic, decisive, and fluid. The integration is simple. Reality does not respond to your thoughts. It does not respond to your effort to stop your thoughts. Reality responds to the quality of awareness you are observing from. The shift is not measured in years of meditation, but in the radical, moment-to-moment shift from thought identification to awareness recognition. The shift looks like this in detail. In relationships, awareness identity allows for genuine presence. In work, awareness identity allows work to flow through you. In health, awareness identity allows your nervous system to regulate and heal more effectively. In finances, awareness identity allows money to flow more naturally because it no longer carries the enormous emotional burden of proving your value. The pattern is consistent across every domain. Identification creates resistance, struggle, and limitation. Awareness creates coherence, fluidity, and effortless organization. This final practice integrates everything into a non-negotiable 20-minute morning rhythm. Minutes 1 to 5, awareness recognition. Rest as the quiet, stable presence that observes everything. Minutes 6 to 10, thought observation. Practice observing them from awareness without identifying. Minutes 11 to 15, sensation observation. Practice feeling sensations without creating narrative or meaning about them. Minutes 16 to 20, reality preview. From this stable place of awareness, feel into what actions want to emerge from this spacious, coherent awareness, not what your anxious thoughts dictate. Every time you notice you've collapsed back into an old thought-based identity, which will happen repeatedly, simply recognize it without judgment and return to the stable awareness. The act of remembering is the practice itself. The recognition that changes everything is simple, verifiable, and available right now. Thoughts are not you. They arise in awareness. They dissolve in awareness. And awareness itself is what you actually are. This awareness broadcasts a frequency of coherence and wholeness. When you stop giving thoughts the power of identity, reality responds to that stable frequency. Synchronicities multiply, opportunities appear, and resources flow. Not because of some difficult technique, but because you stopped filtering reality through the limiting broadcast of lack. The moment you truly realize thoughts aren't yours is the moment reality can finally respond to what you actually are. Vast, creative, coherent consciousness. Everything shifts immediately as soon as you recognize what's actually true. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness observing them. And that awareness is broadcasting the frequency reality has been waiting to respond to your entire life. The only question remaining is, will you continue living from the limited, contracted thought pattern identity, or will you recognize yourself as the unlimited awareness that thoughts appear within? Reality is waiting for your answer. You are not your thoughts. You never were. And the moment you truly realize this, everything changes.